Welcome back to the channel. Before I go any further, I'd like to encourage y'all to like, share, and subscribe. Also, go over to my TikTok at Grow with Rel. There I post daily videos of the garden that you might not see here on YouTube, because YouTube I'm going to use for more long form videos. I'm going to post shorts here, but more long form videos here. But on TikTok, Grow with Rel, Rel with 2 L's. That's where you're going to get daily updates on the garden. Right now we're in the fall, so or in the winter. There's not much going on, but I still got some brassicas back there growing, and I still got life growing. So many of you are here because you clicked on the thumbnail how I went from this to that. How I went from turf type tall fescue in my backyard to what I now have is my own pretty much small homestead right smack dab in the middle of the city. First and foremost, the main thing that I did was I planned out, right? When I purchased my home, I saw an area that I wanted to be a garden, but I know I had to start small because I really didn't have the equipment to do what I needed to do. I know I needed a bunch of wood chips. I know I needed a bunch of compost, and I didn't want to go buy bags from Lowe's or Home Depot. So what I did was I waited till I got what I needed to get the job done to really start my plan. But what I did first and foremost was I went like most of us do, and I went and bought a small 6x6 metal raised bed, and I used that. And I got a lot in that thing, and I grew some of everything. And I had that smack dab in the middle of my yard because I wanted to make sure the sun was shining perfectly in my backyard. And like I said, I got a lot out of that small space. But like I said before, I knew I wanted to grow. I knew I wanted to be bigger. So what I did was I went back to the drawing board and I planned. And before I did anything, a very important step is I went to Amazon. I bought a thing called a sundial or a sun meter. What this thing is you put it in the ground and you let it go a full 24-hour cycle. And it'll tell you whether this area is full sun, partial sun, full shade, or partial shade. So I did that for about 2 weeks. I monitored every inch of the area that I wanted to grow in. And what I found out was that my entire growing area that I had planned to use was full sun, which was great. Now, with that said, some of the area does get shaded like sooner in the day, which is perfect because some crops that we grow do not like full sun all the time. So it worked out, which is why what I do now is I rotate my crops every year. But again, I bought these sun meters, and once I found out that my entire area was perfect for a garden, I started planning out. And the first thing I did was I took my lawnmower in the fall and I cut my grass down in that area very low, almost as low as the dirt. Once I did that, next thing I did was I pretty much put a tarp over it. I went to Home Depot, bought a tarp. I laid a tarp over the entire area. I let the tarp kill the grass over the winter time. And then when the sun came back in the spring, I also kept the tarp down because the heat from the sun would pretty much solarize the ground and kill anything that's living as far as any kind of greenery, any kind of grass, any kind of weeds. But what I did still do was I planted in pots and I planted in grow bags on top of the tarp for that summer and spring. And then when fall came around, what I ultimately ended up doing was pulling that tarp up. Now, at this point, it's fall. I pulled the tarp up. What I had was nice, black, rich soil. Now, my original native soil is clay, but at this point, it's dark black. I see earthworms. I see a lot of things that show me that I have life, that I had life growing into this space, which is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to do. After that, I went out and I threw out daikon radish. Daikon radish kind of grow like carrots. They grow deep into the ground, about 6, 7, 8, 9 inches, and they pretty much penetrate the clay soil. So now carrots won't really penetrate hard ground, but daikon radish will, which is why people use daikon radish. They've used daikon radish for centuries to pretty much penetrate hard, unusable soil. So I did that. I just sprayed, I just broadcasted daikon radish, no foam, just broadcasted it out like I was broadcasting grass seeds. I let the daikon radish grow up until the wintertime when the frost killed it. And at this point, the daikon radish, I saw some of them were about that long, getting into the ground. So ultimately what I did was I covered the daikon radish with cardboard. What's gonna happen at this point is it's wintertime, the daikon radish, it decays in the ground. So it decays right in the ground. Now, as you can imagine, when it decays, it leaves holes in the ground, which is, like I said, is what you want. You want to penetrate and break up the clay soil. Daikon radish left holes in the ground, which is exactly what I want. I put cardboard over it, and I let the cardboard sit for about 3 weeks. I let the rain hit it, so the cardboard would again settle onto the ground. Midwinter, I took my truck and I took my trailer. I went out into the country, and I got 6 or 7 yards, which is multiple trips, of good, rich compost. One wheelbarrow at a time, I bought that compost in my backyard. Now, like I said, I live in the city. I keep saying that because I want you guys to understand that you can really grow right where you are. You don't have to be out in the country. You don't have to have acres of land. You can grow right where you are. So one wheelbarrow at a time, I bought the compost in my backyard and I laid it out on the cardboard. And then after I got everything back, I pretty much created my rolls. Now, just to rewind, we're in this thing a year and a half, 2 years at this point. So I laid the compost down, I created my rolls, and then I went and got wood chips, arborist wood chips. And I laid the hardwood chips down in the rolls. And that's gonna keep weeds down. That kept weeds down. The thing about the wood chips is they degrade over time and become one with the soil. So with the wood chips, I'm 3 years into what my garden is now, and I go and I refresh my wood chips every year. I get about a yard and a half of wood chips. I lay fresh wood chips down in my rolls, and I'm not gonna lie, man, the wood chips have kept the weeds down a lot. I'm actually surprised how much the wood chips have kept the weeds down. I still do get weed along the rim of my fence because one fence is mine, the other side is part of my neighbor's property. So what they do on the other side of that fence is on them. I can't control that. So I just obviously come through, I weed eat every now and then. I make sure that I keep the weeds at bay, but I keep wood chips in that area because, again, the wood chips really keep the weeds at bay. It's surprising how that works. And then when you're constantly walking on it, it also keeps the weeds at bay. And then I also go get about a yard of compost every year to top off my beds because, again, the soil, it will settle after a while, and then nutrients, get taken away by the rain, all kind of things, and so that's how I refresh my garden. So hope I wasn't talking too fast. Hope you guys really understood what I was saying. Feel free to comment below if there are more questions you have. But the reason why I did it like this instead of having the raised beds, because let me be honest, I have seen people with a nice sized yard that went out and got 9-10 raised beds or built 9-10 raised beds. I just don't like raised beds. I don't like the wood. I don't like having to replenish the wood once the wood decays. It's just, for me, raised beds don't look appealing to me. Like I said, my yard was tall fescue prior to me building my garden. So if you don't know what tall fescue is, it's grass that grows in the wintertime. So when it's cold, and all my neighbors who have what's called Bermuda grass, when their yard is nice and brown, it's brown and ugly looking, my yard was nice and green, like a deep, rich green color. People always commented me on my yard, and my front yard is still like that, but my backyard was like that as well. So, and if you look on the thumbnail, on the photo on the left side, you'll see the grass. Like you cut it high. It's nice. It's really nice. But again, I wanted to build something in my backyard that I could eat from. So yeah, like I said, that's how I started. I'm still continuing it on. I don't ever see myself stopping, with gardening. I ultimately I do want to build a house on a farm and have acres and acres of land. But right now, I'm going to grow right where I am. And that's just my philosophy for this channel is let's grow together right where you are. You don't have to be on a farm. You don't have to be somewhere with acres and acres of land. All you need is a patio, and you can get a good amount of food for yourself and your family. And it's just about eating healthy, feeling good about what you put in your body, and not feeling any guilt about what you put in your body. And that's why I created this channel, to give you guys knowledge, but also to gain knowledge, because I'm still a student in this. I don't know everything. So as I say all the time, let's grow together right where you are.